For years, he had watched reports of deadly airline disasters play out in the news. When he heard what accident investigators concluded, he believed he had the means to prevent them from happening.
All right, so who is he? Well, Roger Chandler, a Charlottean and aviation safety expert and chief transportation correspondent, May Kay Beeler. She listened, okay? May Kay is here to introduce us to the man on the mission to save lives in her latest episode of Inside the Cockpit. That's an original program on Queen City News Plus. May Kay, tell us about this. This is fascinating.
It's really important. I'm going to try to make it easy to understand. Okay. So, you know, once in a while you run across somebody who has an idea so brilliant that they say it's genius, but getting that idea out in front of the right people, it's not so easy. And until officials take notice, it's likely more lives may needlessly be lost in airplane crashes. So Roger Chandler, he has devoted his life to aviation safety, and years ago, after hearing about a deadly airplane crash that investigators determined was caused by pilot error. In this situation, an engine had failed, and the pilots, instead of shutting down the bad engine, they shut down the good engine by mistake, and now the aircraft was powerless. Well, Roger believed he had a solution. He's a software avionics expert, 42-year worker at the premier aviation training company in the world. Chandler came up with a patent titled Aircraft Fuel Shutoff Interlock. He insists it would have prevented several high-profile fatal accidents, including, you'll remember in June, the Air India crash that killed 241 people on board, 19 on the ground. Here is a snippet of our interview in which he describes his efforts to get officials to take his patent seriously. Take a listen. So this was a deadly situation that could have been prevented. Have you presented this patent to the FAA and to the powers that be?
Sure. When I started writing the patent, I talked to an FAA official in Washington, D.C. He was fairly high up. And when I discussed it with him, he pretty much shut it down. He said, because the rules that the FAA say that if the pilot wants to select that switch off, he must not be impeded from doing so. And I said, even if the other engine has already shut down? And he said, absolutely. And that's the way it works. So that was a bit disheartening.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely not.
So I know this seems kind of complicated. I hope we're not in the weeds with this. If you watch the whole podcast, right, it's easier to understand. The point behind this is he knows a lot, and he's come up with a way that needs not necessarily the FAA, but Boeing, Airbus, the manufacturers to consider as the NTSB. So I was just trying to help get the word out for Roger.
May Kay, as a pilot, obviously, sometimes you don't like the technical people telling you, okay, this is what you should do as a pilot. You're saying, I know the plane. What do you think as a pilot of what he's talking about?
I think it makes sense. I mean, I have flown with airplanes that have FADEC full authority digital engine controlled computers that know everything the engine is doing, keeping the engine running efficiently. I don't want to get in the weeds. My limited experience, just as a pilot, because I'm not an avionics software technician, it makes sense to me, but we need the experts to really look at this.
Yeah.
And I just invite you to watch the podcast. We do try to make it interesting for everybody. And if we can make a difference at Queen City News with our platform.
Yeah.
When he reached out to me, for years he's been trying to get this to the right people. I thought, look, if we can help, let's help. I don't know what will come of it, but we're putting it out there.
I think no matter what, I think we all get frustrated as humans when we get told no and we don't understand why.
Yeah.
And I can always accept the no, but just help me understand. Like, I get frustrated if I feel like you didn't even give it a chance. At least give it a test run.
Right.
Whatever the situation is. And so I think this is I think you're onto something, and I'm glad you spent time with him. You can watch this extended conversation right now. It's called Inside the Cockpit. Make sure to download our free streaming app, Queen City News Plus. You can watch it on our YouTube channel as well, totally free. So May Kay, thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.